After seeing Sonic the Hedgehog for a third time and with family this time, I can definitely once again say Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was peak. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys my movie review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, containing spoilers, so those of you who haven't seen it, go watch it before you see this film or see my non-spoiler review. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But still, guys, what a great movie it was, and it was so great that it has actually become the #1 video game adapted movie in America. It has been certified fresh in both the critics and audience eyes in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, and cinema score an A-. Oh my god. Oh, not A-, I mean an A, but still, it just shows that they did well with this movie. Jeff Farlow and everyone behind it made sure this movie went out with a bang. It is the best of all three of them, and that is just beautiful. And I can't say I'm surprised, because I think Jeff Farlow has admitted that Shadow the Hedgehog is his favorite character, so it would make sense why he would want to make sure this movie got Shadow right, got the movie right, and very well everything that made this movie possible, because this was all adapted and from Sonic Adventure 2, and a little reference into Shadow the Hedgehog. And speaking of which, with the post-credit scene we got, because we got 2 post-credit scenes, and the last one was showing Shadow is still alive out there, and it's also potentially teasing us at a potential spin-off. And we'll get into that here in a minute, but still, Shadow the Hedgehog was done very well here. Keanu Reeves delivered well. He delivered greatly. He nailed Shadow's role, and the voice acting and the expression to show the complexity of what made his character so special. The CGI they did with these Sonic characters, they do amazing, and it's showing the evolution of how much it keeps improving in terms of their appearance and the action that we see here, because the CGI action in this stuff was amazing. But since we're going ahead and still talking about Shadow here, let me go on and mention how him and Maria's scenes were just amazing. The girl who played as Maria did a great job, especially the fact that their scenes didn't really have a dialogue until the very end, where they're outside watching those stars. It was just pretty much music background and just body language showing here to show the bond between Maria and Shadow, and it was done so well. It just had me tugging at my heart at how great this was. It was like, wow, such beautifulness. No words of dialogue whatsoever until the end, and it affected me greatly. Yes, 10 out of 10 right there. I may be overhyping that scene, but still, it was just that good there. But now having said that, let me go ahead and talk about that post-credit scene I mentioned, where Shadow survived as he picked up his inhibitor ring after taking it off, because that's pretty much teasing us as to a spin-off in terms of a movie or a TV series for Shadow. Because here's the thing here with the 2 post-credit scenes we got here, and with the gap we are having for Sonic 4 from Sonic 3, which won't be into 2027, that makes you know they definitely gotta have another Sonic project going on here, because there's no way that there's nothing going on in that big long gap there. And what I suspect will happen is this: with the spin-off of a movie or a TV series, that's where I think we'll have Rouge and Omega, in other words, Team Dark, coming into the picture. Yes, but not only that. Here's the thing: during that scene with Maria, we were told by Shadow that he doesn't know where he came from. That's because his origins are different in this film. And this one, he wasn't created by Gerald Robotnik. He crash landed as a meteorite on Earth, showing that the Black Arms are out there. And if they do this spinoff, that's where they will also make their entrance here. And also another part where I think will make an entrance is the 2 characters who did appear, who technically didn't appear in this movie, but did in a sort of sense of undercover by Dom Tom and Maddie, and I'm talking Randall and Rachel, along with JoJo. I feel that they may go into the Shadow spinoff here. The reason I say that is because if there's one thing to note is that these OG characters in the Sonic Cinematic Universe, some think they're not as important, but as it's been shown here through this movie and the last movie, they have their role to play here. They may not hold as importance going forward and may take a step back, but they still have their role of importance to play here. And I feel like maybe the Randall, Rachel, and JoJo could be a new connection for Shadow in terms of some humans he can learn to open up to. Well, maybe not open up to, but learn to care for. Just more in the distant manner, because let's not forget, Shadow's a loner who doesn't really express feelings like it is with the Sonic family and stuff. But still, he does show he cares for people, just in the silent way. You can even see it through the example of Team Dark. But now, having said all that, though, let's move on into another post-credit scene here. And that is the one for Sonic 4, and the one fans have been waiting for a very long time. That is Amy and Metal Sonic, especially Amy. Because, man, fans were really upset that they weren't getting Amy in this film. Well, in the post-credit scene, they now can rest at ease, but they just gotta wait to 2027. But even still, though, that scene where Metal Sonic tried to attack Sonic when he's just busy yapping it up like he always does, and only for him to miss Sonic, and then all those Metal Sonic clones right there, up to Amy with her Pico hammer just knocking them all out, was just beautiful. The entire theater erupted with me. I mean, not with me. I mean, they just all erupted in general when we finally got that, because people were expecting her a lot sooner than that. Hey, I didn't expect Shadow this early, but I wasn't complaining. And hey, it's glad now that we're finally getting Amy and Metal Sonic. Now, could this maybe lead into the next movie being inspired off of Sonic CD, where there's a bit of time traveling involved? Maybe. One thing I do also think, though, is that something I'm not hoping for, not because I don't like this character, is that when it comes to time travel, people will think of Silver the Hedgehog, which me personally, I like Silver and all, but I just don't think he needs to be in that film. Save him for later, in a sense of another time traveling thing, especially if you're going to say maybe get Dr. Eggman. Yeah, so leave it for that one. But still, now that we're going to get Amy, I definitely can't wait to see what Tom and Maddie are going to teach Sonic with that one, in the sense of relationship advice. Oh, that will be so funny. Yeah, and speaking of Sonic, with what he learns from Amy and Tom, as I mentioned before, these OG characters in the Sonic Cinematic Universe, some people tend to look at them as people that aren't important and don't really need to be in the film. Well, that's where I'm in disagreement with that, because yeah, sure, when it comes to the Sonic film and stuff, we got human characters, but to say these OG characters aren't important, I completely disagree with that. Because let's face it, ever since the cinematic universe of Sonic has begun, it is through his relationship with Tom and Maddie that has allowed him to be who he is, and the character journey he's taken on each of these films, especially with number 2 and number 3. Like in number 2, Tom was teaching him about what it means to be a hero, which was Sonic's journey in that film. This one was to learn not to let his pain change who he is, because during that time when Shadow had accidentally hurt Tom, well, not accidentally, he intentionally hurt Tom only because he thought Tom was someone else there, being Commander Walter. That pushed Sonic over the edge to a spot we never saw him before, and I just tell you, the way that Ben did that acting and stuff was great. I was like, oh yeah, Ben, you doing it good right there. Love it. And I did love it. It was awesome. Yeah, the battle between him and Super Sonic and Super Shadow, awesome. But then the part where he looked like he was about to really let his pain and anger get to him as Shadow goaded him to do the final blow, that's where he was reminded by a lesson Tom told him once again about how his pain didn't change who he was. That right there also helped Shadow into letting go of his pain, to where the Super Sonic and Super Shadow went back into super mode mode again to take care of the final scene and saving the world. Which, by the way, seeing those two in supersonic and super shadow mode race into that colony, that shot of them in their super mode was beautiful. And then, of course, the shot of them defeating all those drones and doing the iconic on Sonic and Shadow pose from Sonic Adventure 2 from the Moonlight thing, but in super mode, that was sick. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. That was beautiful. But now, having said all that, let me go into another part of the final battle that holds importance, and that is with the fact on how it was not just Sonic and Shadow, Sonic versus Shadow in super mode and everything, and then saving the world, but a battle that went on inside the space colony in Eclipse Cannon, and that was Robotnik versus Robotnik. Jim Carrey, his star-making performance like always, but this time he doubled it when he was being Eggman and Gerald Robotnik. My God, this was awesome. And the way they first were introduced here, when they first introduced themselves, when they first met and broke the fourth wall and mentioning how they're played by the same actor but a different character, looking at that camera, I was like, nice. But back on track to how it is, we also saw a vulnerable side with Eggman in this film that allowed us to go on a different journey with him, seeing the vulnerability of never having family, then having one, but only to find out how crazy his grandfather is, to make him realize something he's always had with him, and that's a friendship in Agent Stone. Yes, and then of course the final battle I mentioned that was inside the colony of both Eggmans going at it. That was funny, and they did it in a bug way. You had Joe Robotnik as a scorpion, and then Robotnik Eggman as a mantis. Funny stuff right there. And how Robotnik defeated his grandfather, used the supersonic quill there to zap him and vaporize him with the energy that Shadow gave off for the Eclipse Cannon of the space colony. Nasty but effective. And yes, the final moment where after Eggman held Tails and Knuckles in and moving the Eclipse Cannon only so he could stop it from blowing up and destroying the Earth, along with Shadow, to give that final message off to Agent Stone when he let him know how much he meant to him as a friend and stuff. That was beautiful. Touched my heart right there. It really did. But guys, there's pretty much no cons in this one. I mean, if there are some, they're kind of nitpicky. So, like, if I'm to say that there's cons in it, the nitpicky one would be when Shadow and Sonic, when they were in normal form and on the moon, I was wondering, like, how are they able to breathe in space? But then I guess when I think about it, in Sonic X, they fought a lot of times in space, Ace and stuff, and could still seem to breathe and everything. So who knows what that is there. But one thing I will say is when Sonic lost his super form and was falling down to Earth through the atmosphere, I was like him, and with Tails and Knuckles saving him, I was like, how could they not have burned out on re-entry? But hey, like a friend of mine once said, maybe I'm just putting logic into storytelling. But even still, though, that doesn't mean it brought the film down, because this didn't really bring the film down. Neither did this one where I've heard people saying how Christine, her character, didn't really do much. I mean, she sort of did something at the second act here, and she sort of showed this side of not trusting Sonic and the team as to why we didn't ever got, and some people feel that they should have given that, and maybe they should have, but somehow I feel that they're saving Christine's character for something more. Like, this was just her intro, whereas she'll play a bigger role in another film or another project. Like I'm thinking that, say if Rouge is gonna show up in the spin-off of the Shadow spin-off, that's where Kristen's character will play an even bigger role over there. Like, maybe she'll become Rouge's partner, like how in Sonic X, that woman Topaz was Rouge's partner. I think that's what they're setting her character up to be. But other than that, though, I really don't have much more to say than what I've all said. Everything was pretty much good here. Like, oh, and Tails and Knuckles, they had their moments to shine here too. Same with Tom and Maddie here when they were in undercover mode as Rachel and Randall there. But everyone did their parts well. Every character did a great job. The story was amazing. I have nothing more to say than for those who haven't seen this movie, go see it, especially if you were watching and didn't care to be spoiled. You're gonna love it. But that's it for today, guys. And if you all are enjoying my videos, all you gotta do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. Until then, everyone have a Merry Christmas, spend time with your loved ones, and have a great Happy New Year. And until then, MegaGeekMixer signing out. Bye!